The billionaire who started with nothing, James J. Hill's financial blueprint. Imagine a childhood so humble that every sunrise brings another day of hard labor before you've even had breakfast. That was the reality for many in the 19th century, but few transformed that sweat into something monumental. Today, I want to share a story that few know, yet every modern seeker of financial freedom should. Born in a log cabin in Ontario in 1838, James Hill never had money handed to him. His early days were defined by menial work, hauling lumber, working on steamboats, and loading barges. At 20, he crossed into Minnesota, racked with ambition but empty-pocketed. No one recorded his family name in newspapers, no inheritance awaited him, no coins jingled in his lifetime pocket. All he had was grit and a vision. Hill's first job was as a freight clerk for the steamboat company. He learned fast how goods moved, what mattered to clientele, which routes were profitable. But river travel was a volatile business, dependent on whims of weather and water. By 22, he moved to St. Paul and stepped into the bustling world of railroads. In the 1860s, the railroad industry was a gold mine and a hazard, promises of growth mixed with the poison of corruption and booms that crashed as quickly as they rose. Yet Hill didn't circle the wagons. He dove in. His early years working with the St. Paul and Pacific Railroad taught him lessons about mismanagement and missed opportunities. He saw trains stopped for lack of coal, cars loaded inefficiently, stations built without foresight. The key turning point came in 1878 when he was asked to take charge of the underperforming St. Paul, Minneapolis and Manitoba Railway, SPMM. The bosses expected someone to steady the ship. What they got was a storm of change. Hill didn't just patch leaks, he rethought the entire system. He invested personal capital, he convinced local bankers and businesses to believe in his vision. He rerouted lines to reach untapped grain markets. He upgraded engines, rebuilt tracks, standardized equipment. Slowly, almost invisibly, he pieced together a reliable network connecting the Twin Cities to the Canadian border. And then came the extraordinary pivot. He didn't merge his railroad into a giant conglomerate. Instead, he purchased it outright, heading each wheel, each tie, each shipment personally until the whole system clicked. Hill's mindset came down to three core beliefs: ownership, long-term thinking, and operational excellence. He knew that owning the asset meant he controlled the destiny. He wasn't thinking about quick dividends, he thought in decades. And he knew that regardless of vision, a railroad lived and died by its daily performance: on-time departures, safe tracks, loyal workers, happy shippers. By 1889, the Manitoba Railway covered 1,214 miles. In 1890, Hill reorganized it as the Great Northern Railway, at that time the only transcontinental railroad that never declared bankruptcy. He had achieved what few could dare hope: a profitable, debt-free line stretching nearly 2,000 miles, without a single federal land grant or government subsidy. This was pure, entrepreneurial muscle, built on precision, perseverance, and purpose. And this man was born in a cabin on nothing but ambition. But the story doesn't end with rails and locomotives. Hill believed in empowering others. He introduced profit-sharing plans, offered pensions, and built schools along stations. He invested in grain elevators, knowing the railroad thrived when farmers thrived. He didn't just pull freight, he built communities. He didn't chase glory, he elevated hundreds of towns and thousands of families. That is true wealth. So what can James J. Hill teach us, especially if you're an employee dreaming of financial independence? Think ownership. Hill bought his railroad. Today, ownership can look like a side hustle, equity in your company, real estate, or even royalties from content. Ownership multiplies your impact and uncaps your time. It transforms you from a cog into a creator, earning even when you're not present. Build for the long term. Hill didn't chase stock market bursts or speculative booms. He built systems that survive recessions, disruptions, and market evolutions. When you invest, acquire skills, or launch side income, think 10 years ahead. Compound doesn't just grow money, it shapes character. Master the details. Hill knew exactly how fast each engine performed, how much cargo each car carried, and how often schedules slipped. He didn't scale on assumptions, he optimized on data. For you, data means tracking your time, money, progress. If your side hustle isn't growing, analyze the numbers. If your budget keeps leaking, track every cent. Precision leads to power. Align profit with impact. Hill's railways didn't just carry goods, they carried hope, jobs, and futures. He created symbiotic success. Your hustle should be more than transactional. How do you improve someone's day? How do you solve problems, lighten loads, boost confidence? When profit and purpose converge, both thrive. Don't fear scale. Hill expanded miles rather than doubled profits. He reinvested into engineers, depots, elevators, towns. He looked at exponential potential where others saw risk. What seems too big to build? Google didn't start as a search giant. Airbnb didn't start as a global hospitality wave. Don't fear scale, plan for it. Today's landscape has changed: the internet, apps, global trade. But Hill's methods are timeless. Start where you are, with what you have. Master your daily grind first, be great at your job. Use it as capital, money, skill, network, reputation. Then reinvest into assets that grow beyond your time. Track everything: your time, your skills, your dollars. Automate systems, finance, learning, outreach, so your progress continues even when you're busy or resting. Surround yourself with builders, colleagues who see opportunity, who take initiative, who ask how can we improve. Curate your mindset, because scarcity shrinks horizons, compounding abundance expands them. And when you earn enough to help others, do it. Educate, mentor, invest. Hill didn't retire alone, he lifted entire regions. That is the circle of real freedom. So as you reflect on your own path today, ask, what do I own? What am I building that works while I sleep? What systems are breaking apart and need fixing? How can I anchor my growth to something that lasts? James J. Hill started with wood chips and sweat, and built a railroad empire that changed America. You might not lay tracks, but you can lay foundations, for your dreams, your wealth, and your legacy. Start small. Think big. Build precise. Scale smart. Empower others along the way. Your journey isn't over because you don't see the finish line. The work is simply unstarted. And every morning, every sunset, is another chance to build. So pause now, and choose your own first step. What asset will you start acquiring this week? What plan will you begin that unlocks leverage? What problem will you solve that carries impact? Hit subscribe if this story moved you. Comment below, what part of Hill's journey resonates with your vision? Let's build this together, one principle, one system, one breakthrough at a time. Your future is waiting. Why not begin your own Wealthwise journey today?